for no trump is instructional. All right. Now we've done all this information exchange, and only now as we get through the third round of bidding do we shift to a more instructional approach. Because E says, okay, well, now I think I can see slam, but I should probably make sure what the key card situation is. And so the response over here would be 5 hearts, right? 2 key cards, no queen, with the ace of spades and the king of diamonds, since we're key carding for diamonds. That's informative, right? You had to do it because partner told you to, but it is informative. And then I know Woolsey, when he presents his hand, says, oh yeah, maybe you could pursue a grand, but we said, yeah, let's not get that ambitious. We've done very well to get to the small slam here in this last bid, placing the contract. That's an instructional bid, right? Because we found a diamond fit, and so once we hear 6 diamonds from East, West knows, okay, we've done all the bidding we're going to do on this hand. Not too complicated. Any questions? All right, well, so let's look at something, and by the way, this is from, or at least this discussion in the book starts on page 56. What we want to do is we want to look at this hand that responder holds, and what we really want to explore here is, different approaches that you could take, and what the results might be from that. Where are you going? Are you prepared for what is going to happen next? And this is really more, so we're going through this, and let's go ahead and get the hand up here that we want. Because I should preface this with a couple of remarks. So what we're going to be dealing with here is partner's going to open one no, and responder, that is what you are holding. So you've got a generally balanced hand, right? You have 12 high card points. You've got your 5-card heart suit. And then you've also got your king, queen, 3rd of clubs on the side, and then nothing particularly useful in spades or diamonds. We want to go through different ways that you could bid this hand. And we do this more so that you can see merit of instructional versus informative approaches. Because I think that, and you might have been thinking this if you read through this section and looked at all these possibilities, and you might ask yourself, well, what is Woolsey doing? Isn't this a pretty straightforward hand to bid? Because we do have what I would say is a standard bidding sequence for this hand. And if I were teaching this, if I wasn't specifically focusing on these things from language of bridge, I would not overcomplicate a hand like this. You want to be in game, right? When partner opens a no trump, clearly you belong in game. And you probably don't belong in slam, right? Your hand's not really good enough to be thinking much about slam. That's not to say slam couldn't make if you don't catch opener with the perfect, just the perfect fitting no trump for you. But that's unlikely. Well, if we know we belong exactly in game, what is our approach to this hand? Well, we're going to give partner a choice of games, right? We're going to transfer to hearts, and then we're going to bid 3 now. That is what I would do with this hand in practice. That is what I would want students to do with this hand, okay? And I bring this up now because I think when we go through some of these other possibilities, I think a lot of you are probably going to say, wouldn't we just transfer and bid 3 no? Yeah, I think you would. Which is why, again, I always like to say, when I think but I think there's going to be merit to this exercise more because of what it's going to get you thinking about. Sometimes you'll see things in there, particularly when Woolsey gets into the territory with this hand, where he talks about, well, maybe there is a slam, and and he gives you a hand that opener could have that, where something like 6 hearts would probably make pretty easily. That doesn't mean that we're going to bid it in practice. And so, I don't want you necessarily. I don't want you to overcomplicate something that can be done in fairly straightforward fashion. But I do want you to think about the possibilities, because they do have merit. Now, your real decision on this hand as responder is not really your first bid. It's your second bid. Now, this is going to be presented as what do you do with your first bid? But it's more what do you do with your second bid, if there is a second bid, where you could run into a problem, right? Well, what are the possibilities that Woolsey talks about? And there are 3. The first one is, with this hand, you just jump to 3 now. Clearly, that would be the instructional approach, right? As we said, 3 no would end the auction. All right. Would anybody ever do that with this kind of hand?
No.
I mean, it actually has some merit. Now, it could work out very badly. Look, if you transfer, think about it this way. Anytime that opener has a doubleton heart, this is probably where you're going to end up anyhow, right? Because if you transfer and then bid 3 no, giving opener the choice of games, if they don't have 3 or 4 hearts, they're going to choose 3 no, right? Because they know you don't have an 8-card heart fit. So 3 no may be where you're headed anyhow. That is certainly a possibility. And if you were to get there right away without fooling around with the transfer or anything else, what might be the benefit to bidding it that way? Does anybody have any thoughts?
Keep the opponents out.
Yeah, I mean, we're assuming that the opponents aren't interfering anyhow. So we're gonna, however we deal with this, we're gonna have an uncontested auction. So we're not gonna worry about the opponents.
What about making an overtrick and no trump versus?
Yeah, I mean, if we're playing match points, it is possible that both 4 hearts and 3 no make, and it's possible that they play for the same number of tricks. So okay, that's really what I was getting at here. Sometimes I've had now again, I wouldn't do it with this particular hand, but sometimes I have had this auction, where I had a 5-card suit, probably not a major, but a 5-card suit that I didn't introduce in the auction, and lo and behold, the opening lead was my 5-card suit. And I was like, thank you very much, opponent. You're going to help me set up my long suit. You had a much better lead available, but you didn't know what it was. So, 1 no, 3 no. I think I told you as the declaring side, I'm a big fan of this auction. Because sometimes the opponents have a clear-cut lead. They have their sequence, or they have a long suit that is longer and stronger than any other suit in their hand, and they have they do have a pretty obvious lead, but a lot of times they don't, and a lot of times you're like, well, what do I lead? They didn't pursue a major fit. Should I be leading a major? Well, yeah, maybe it looks that way, but we don't know. Plus, we don't, the one no bidder might have a good holding in a major. It's good from that standpoint. It may not be 3-no may not be your best contract technically. If we were to look at the two hands together, but in practice, as it plays out, you might get your best result. Maybe they don't get off to the right lead, and you get an overtrick in 3-no that perhaps perfect defense wouldn't have permitted. But so yeah, it keeps the defenders in the dark a little bit. So I think it is a consideration. I don't love it with this particular hand, and I probably wouldn't do it. But it's not an absurd bid either. And that would be purely instructional, right? That would be an approach where there's no information gathering going on, right? That's just, oh, you bid 1-no? Okay, we play 3-no. That's that. Of course, your biggest concern about doing this is that there are going to be some hands that are going to clearly play better in hearts. In particular, if partner has a very weak spade holding, then it may be critical to play in hearts, right? Because you have a small doubleton. And so 3-no might make but be inferior as far as how many tricks you take. 3-no might even be in danger of not making, where 4 hearts makes if opener has a bad spade holding. So that would be your biggest worry, I think, for bidding the hand this way. But that would indeed be instructional. Now, we could go down the road of plan B. And this is the one where you're really going to have to think about what your second bid would be. Did anybody think about using Stamen with this? Normally we would go transfer rather than Stamen, since we have a 5-card major, not just a 4-card major. But this does have some merit. However, your second bid could be tricky if you go down this path. You may find out exactly what you want to know, or find out what you didn't want to know, and then realize that, well, now we got to get this thing untangled. Because if you bid Stamen, and by the way, this Stamen would be instructional, right? You're looking for a specific response from partner. You're trying to find out if partner has a 4-card major or not. That's the information you're after. You're not really saying anything about your hand. Yeah, you suggest that you have a 4-card major, but remember, you don't actually even have to have a 4-card major if you're playing 4-suit transfers, as we've discussed. But what you really have to consider if you take this type of instructional approach is, what are you going to do with each of the 3 possible responses? Because remember, when we bid Stamen, there are only 3 possible responses. Opener, if you give a response that is not one of those 3, you should be digging dirt, not playing bridge, right? All right. Let's wait on 2 diamonds for a moment, because that's the hard one. That's the response that would be hard to deal with. Let's deal with the easier ones first. Partner bids 2 hearts. So your next bid would be what?
4.
4 hearts, right? All right, we have a 9-card heart fit. If partner responds 2 hearts to Stamen with our nice 5-card suit, partner has 4 hearts. Clearly we belong in hearts. We might bypass the 8-card heart fit and play 3-no. We should not bypass a 9-card heart fit to play 3-no. Because that makes a big difference playing in a suit contract. You know, that is worth an extra trick, maybe two, playing in the 9-card fit most of the time. So if you've been Stamen and partner happens to have 4 hearts, I mean, all that really, you know, and again, you may not have needed that path to get to 4 hearts. All it means is that when you play 4 hearts, you know, you are absolutely confident that this is the best game, right? You don't have any lingering doubts. You know that's where you belong. Okay. What if partner bids 2 spades? Which we know denies 4 hearts, right? Since we would bid those majors up the line. What would your next bid be if partner if you had chosen Stamen and partner gave you a 2-spade response? You'd go on.